3 short stories interrupt the rulebook, mostly about laws, and they're all about what happens when you get too close to a holy God. The setup. Israel's at Mount Sinai. The tabernacle is built and God moves in. Now the question is, how do imperfect people live with God in the camp? This is Leviticus. Story 1. Set apart. The ordination of the priests. At the entrance of the tent of meeting, all of Israel is watching. This is not a coronation with a crown. It's an ordination with blood, oil, and 7 long days. The Lord tells Moses exactly what to bring.
Aaron and his sons, their priestly garments, the anointing oil, a bull for the sin offering, 2 rams, and a basket of unleavened bread. Gather the whole community.
The people press in. This is public. God is making priests before everyone's eyes. First, Moses washes Aaron and his sons with water. Then he dresses Aaron piece by piece.
Tunic, sash, robe, ephod.
He fastens the woven belt, sets the breastpiece with the Urim and Thummim inside, and places the turban on his head, with the gold plate that reads, Holy to the Lord. Then the sons, tunics, sashes, caps, just as commanded. Moses takes the anointing oil. He sprinkles the tabernacle, then the bronze altar 7 times, and all its tools. He pours oil on Aaron's head. It runs down his beard, onto his robes. This is consecration, setting apart for God alone. Now the sacrifices. Aaron and his sons lay their hands on the bull for the sin offering, identifying with it. Moses kills it, puts blood on the horns of the altar to purify it, pours the rest at its base. The fat is burned on the altar, but the hide and flesh are taken outside the camp and burned completely. Next, the first ram, the burnt offering, blood splashed around the altar, the whole animal washed, cut, and sent up in smoke, a pleasing aroma. Sin dealt with, then complete surrender. Then the second ram, the ram of ordination.
Lay your hands.
Moses slaughters it and does something startling. He takes blood and puts it on Aaron's right earlobe, on his right thumb, and on the big toe of his right foot. Then he does the same for each son. Ear to hear God, hand to do God's work, foot to walk God's way, every part consecrated. Moses takes the fat, the right thigh, and 3 kinds of unleavened bread, places them in their hands, and they lift it as a wave offering before the Lord. Then it all goes up in smoke. Finally, Moses takes oil and blood from the altar and sprinkles it on Aaron, his sons, and their garments, people in clothes made holy together. Moses says,
Boil the meat at the entrance. Eat it there with the bread. Burn what remains. Do not leave the entrance for 7 days and nights, or you will die. Stay and keep the charge of the Lord.
7 days, not a moment, a residence. Holiness takes time. And Aaron and his sons did everything the Lord commanded through Moses. On the 8th day, fire would come from God himself. But first, they had to be washed, clothed, anointed, and marked ear, hand, and foot for the work ahead. Story 2. The story of Nadab and Abihu's disobedience. Imagine this. God has just shown up in fire and glory. The tabernacle is brand new. The people of Israel are watching, terrified and amazed. As God's presence fills the sanctuary, 2 men stand front and center. Nadab and Abihu. They're not random guys. They're the oldest sons of Aaron, the high priest. They were on Mount Sinai with Moses. They've seen God's glory with their own eyes. They should know better. Leviticus 10 tells us what happened next. Nadab and Abihu each grabbed their censers, those small fire pans used for burning incense before God. But they made 3 fatal mistakes. 1 wrong fire. They offered unauthorized fire before the Lord. Leviticus 10:1. God had already lit the altar fire himself. That fire was holy. It was never supposed to go out. But Nadab and Abihu brought fire from somewhere else. Their own fire. 2 wrong time. God gave very specific instructions for when and how incense was to be offered. This wasn't that time. They acted on impulse, not obedience. 3 wrong heart. Some scholars think Leviticus 10-9 hints they may have been drunk. Whether they were intoxicated or just arrogant, their attitude was casual about a holy God. They treated worship like it was about them. They walked into the tabernacle, swinging their censers, confident. The people probably watched, expecting another miracle. Instead, fire came out from the presence of the Lord. But this time, it didn't consume a sacrifice. It consumed them. In an instant, fire blazed forth from the Lord's presence and burned them up, and they died there before the Lord. Leviticus 10:2. Just like that. No warning. No second chance. Moses told Aaron,
This is what the Lord meant when he said,
I will show myself holy among those who are near me, and before all the people I will be glorified.
Aaron, he stayed silent. Leviticus 10:3. What could he say? His sons were dead, because they treated holy things like common things. Nadab and Abihu's story is brutal, but it teaches us something. God is holy. Worship isn't about our creativity, our feelings, or what we think God should accept. It's about approaching Him on His terms, not ours. They had privilege, position, and experience with God, but none of that mattered when they disobeyed. The same God who is loving and merciful is also perfectly holy. Nadab and Abihu forgot that. The question for us, do we? Story 3. The Blasphemer. In the days when Israel camped in the wilderness, after leaving Egypt, God was teaching His people what it meant to be holy. Laws were given for worship, justice, and daily life. But one afternoon, something happened that would set a precedent for all of Israel. A young man, his mother was an Israelite named Shelemith, from the tribe of Dan, and his father was Egyptian, got into a fight in the camp.
You don't belong here, son of an Egyptian.
Watch your mouth.
Voices rose, fists clenched, and in his anger, the son of Shelemith did something unthinkable. He blasphemed the name, the sacred name of the Lord, and cursed. The people around him were stunned. No one had heard this before. They grabbed him and brought him to Moses. But Moses didn't decide right away. This was new.
Moses, this man cursed the name during the fight. What should we do?
Moses put him in custody and waited. He went before the Lord to ask what justice looked like when God's own name was attacked. Then the Lord spoke to Moses.
Take the blasphemer outside the camp. Let all who heard him lay their hands on his head, to show they heard his guilt and are not part of it. Then all the congregation shall stone him. This law applies to everyone, the native-born and the foreigner alike. Whoever blasphemes the name of the Lord shall be put to death.
God also used this moment to establish a principle. Life for life, eye for eye, tooth for tooth. Justice must match the offense. When someone treats God's name as worthless, they've struck at the foundation of Israel's covenant. So Moses spoke to the people of Israel. They took the man who had cursed outside the camp. The witnesses went first. Then the whole community took up stones. It was sobering. Israel learned that words aren't cheap, especially words against the Holy One, who delivered them from slavery. The story of the blasphemer isn't just about punishment. It's about how seriously God takes His name, and how He called His people to reflect His holiness. In a camp of over 1 million people, one voice of contempt couldn't be ignored, because God's reputation was Israel's witness to the nations. The point is, Leviticus starts with access to God, then immediately shows the danger of getting it wrong. The rest of the laws exist to keep that from happening again.